Hey everybody, welcome to the newest episode of On That Note with Parker Whirling. Today's guest joins me from Essex in the UK. He's an indie pop, jazz, multi-instrumentalist, singer-songwriter who's got a few great songs out this year. One is called Funkenheim and the other is called Like This. It has a new music video. You need to go check it out. His EP is called Something Out of Nothing and it will be coming out in November. Please welcome Sam Eagle. Hey Sam, how you doing? Is this the studio that you recorded Funkenheim in?
Yeah, this is the studio that I've kind of been doing. I think one song was done in a proper studio, but yeah, all the rest were just done in here, which is kind of how I've always liked to do it. But it's for these projects, just kind of it was just to a bit of a higher kind of standard to before. But yeah, it's where I kind of do everything.
Did you record coping mechanisms there as well?
Like half and half. What half of them were in a studio and half were done here. But the process kind of made me like realize that I really love working from home. Just having the kind of like not having to finish at 5 o'clock pressure, that kind of thing. I feel like that just kills creativity, you know.
Yeah, I've never been to a studio where I've like booked a certain amount of time that I have to get everything done within one point. That
Mm.
sounds incredibly stressful. Most of the stuff I do is in my own bedroom, and then
Mm.
maybe I'll take it to these guys who have their own studio just to play it through their
Yeah,
speakers and
yeah.
kind of go over it there. But I would
Mm.
imagine writing and recording and doing all that in a studio and having the pressure of time would be really stressful.
Yeah, it's just like it's kind of it's how you manage it, I guess. Like you kind of start off kind of chill and then it gets to like 3 o'clock and you've got like, oh my God, we've got like half the song still to do. And yeah, I don't think it's a very good way of working. Most studios that I've been to are like we'll just keep going until the song's done. But yeah, the coping mechanisms one were done in that kind of situation. But yeah, it was like good learning curve. That whole phase, I think.
I wanted to ask you about your writing and your recording process for Funkenheim. I think it's such an awesome song. There's so much going on that it's hard to imagine it starting out as like one small idea, but obviously that is how it started. So where did it start with you?
I can't. I was thinking about this and like I can't really remember. Like it's that start of a song is something that I find quite interesting as well. Um, I can't really remember, but I just remember it probably just started on guitar and then I was writing it for um when I was playing with a live band. Um, I was kind of writing it for the band. It was much longer and quite different actually. It was a lot jazzier. Well, it's still fairly jazzy, but yeah, I think it just started off just as no. I remember when it was. I'd actually just got a new amp, which is like I don't know if you know Roland make these jazz chorus amps. I don't know if you know JC amps. They have like this really nice built-in chorus effect. It was just like a really new sound, and I don't know about you, but like I find really good sources of inspiration are just like getting a new pedal or getting a new item or
Hmm.
something. I feel like those kinds of things are really inspiring. And yeah, just this amp, like I remember making like a little loop of the bass line and the chords. That was when it started. Thank you, Park. You've triggered that memory.
There you
That's good to
go.
know.
Always here to help.
Yeah.
It's an
Um.
expensive way to get inspiration by buying
It.
pedals.
Well, that wasn't like the reason.
I
I
know what you
would.
mean, yeah.
My old amp broke, and I just find like it. Yeah, just very inspiring. Like a very inspiring time. Like when you do get a new piece of equipment or something, like just try and write as many things as you can on it on like the first time you use it, because I feel like a lot of ideas come in that kind of time.
Yeah, it's fresh to you, so you don't necessarily know how you're gonna always use it, like what setting you'll always keep it on.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of nice to remember.
When you recorded or when you were writing Funkenheim, did you have all the instruments in your head like what you wanted it to be? Because that is like there's a lot going on in that song that I would think it would be. I mean, do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, did you already have those instruments in your head before you recorded it?
Yeah, nah, normally like when I'm writing I'm like recording at the same time,
Mm-hmm.
and that's like when it starts to build up, I think. That's kind of how I've always really liked to write, because then you just don't really have any limits on it, on what you can do. The problem is though when you take it to a live setting, obviously like you're constrained a little bit um to what you can actually play musician like by with the number of musicians you have. Um but yeah, it normally like in this case as well, it's built up like in the recording process. Yeah. How about you when you're writing? Like, what's your process?
Kind of a similar thing. The last few songs I've put out, I've recorded, or kind of write while I'm recording.
Yeah.
So typically it might start with a drum sample and I'll loop it, and then usually the chords are the next thing, and then the melody. And I've tried to like switch it up lately by writing most of the songs I write on guitar first, and then not take them over to the recording side until it's completely done written. And for me, I've noticed that that's been helpful in terms of creating better songwriting because
Right. Okay.
I like think about it before I go into the studio to record in studio, my bedroom. Um, but if I'm recording right from the beginning, it's harder for me to feel comfortable with changing things along the way because
Right.
it feels like it's already set in stone. Whereas if I'm writing on a guitar, it's just in thin air whenever I want to start playing it,
Mm.
and then I can think of what to add while I'm doing that, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. That's kind of interesting. Um, yeah, I guess you when you were recording straight in and writing at the same time. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting how different ways of approaching the writing process affect your like overall kind of style, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's good to try all different kinds, not feel
Yeah.
married to one.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So when you're playing live, I saw the video of the 2018 BBC introducing, and I thought it was awesome. You killed
Oh,
it.
cheers, man.
How do you prep for that show? Like a week beforehand, and having you write and record on all the instruments, right? When you're doing your stuff.
Yeah, except for brass on the older things. And there are a couple of bits and bobs on the new ones, but yeah, mostly I try to do as much as I can.
Gotcha. So there's got to be a process with how you teach the band members who end up coming on to play live, right?
Yeah, it was, yeah, for sure. I think especially in the drums, it was like quite, it's quite stylistic because there's a lot of percussion and stuff
Mm-hmm.
in my music that we didn't have a percussionist live. So like, I do bet my drummer Ben, um, who's an amazing musician. He's got his own project called Porteous. But he's just like he's another multi instrumentalist who's just like god level on everything that he plays, literally. And yeah, we'd just like keep asking more and more and more and more of him, and he'd be like doing so many things at once. It kind of got a bit crazy, but yeah, I think in drums it's probably the process was quite a lot like kind of teaching a style, like you say, as we learn songs, because quite often we'd try and we wouldn't try and replicate the recordings. We'd just try and sort of create like a vibe that was appropriate to the band, I think. Um, and I think it might have gone too far in the band direction at one point, like from not referencing the original song at all.
Mm.
I think managing that can sometimes be quite difficult.
So do you let band members take some liberties with, like, maybe the bassist, he can do a little riff here that's not on the thing? Are you pretty cool with that? Are you jamming beforehand to see what's the best way to go about a certain song?
I mean, we haven't played in a long time together. We haven't played since like last December, to be honest. Um, but we'd have a pretty like like fluid kind of rapport on stage, and if someone was feeling something they wanted to like go down a certain route, it would be cool like to try out kind of whatever, as long as it wasn't like over. Basically, we just kind of tried to have the philosophy of just everyone just working together and not overpowering anything. Um, but yeah, nah, pretty loose, to be honest. I think it's nice to be able to try and make every show a little bit different.
Yeah, that makes sense. So right before we started this, you dropped the hot news that you got a new song with a video coming out
Yeah,
this Friday. When this episode airs, it'll already have been out. But let's talk about it. I want to know about Like This and its new music
sure.
video.
Yeah, it's quite different to Funkenheim. It's a lot like it's a lot simpler, um, and it's a lot more kind of psych pop, hip hop influenced. Um, but the video, yeah, the video I'm excited to put out because it's quite So this will have already, yeah, it'll already be out, won't it?
It'll already
So
be out, yeah.
yeah, yeah, it's got like this. Do you know David Hockney, the artist?
I don't think so.
He's an English painter, photographer, really, really good. One of my favorite artists. He has this sort of style of photography where he takes photos of people and landscapes and stuff from lots of different angles, and then pieces them together, just to make kind of interesting composite images of portraits and stuff. And I thought it would be really cool to do a sort of video equivalent of that. Um, so we've kind of there are lots of scenes where it's very sort of chopped up and quite abstract and a bit freaky and a bit weird. So yeah, it's quite I think it goes with the song in that it's just a bit off kilter, I think. Yeah.
And this is
I'll
coming
I'll, I'll
off.
send it to you though, man.
Yeah, please. I'd love to hear it. This is coming off of your new EP, right? Something
Yeah.
from nothing, something out of nothing.
Something out of nothing. Yeah, yeah, that's right. Which is out in November, I think. We're yet to find a date, but yeah, this it's like this, and then the EP comes out.
So, how does something out of nothing, the EP, how does that differ in your discography versus coping mechanisms and your previous releases?
I think production wise, it's progressed a lot. The mixing process was I was much more involved in than with coping mechanisms. Uh, the mixing engineer and I worked a lot more closely on that. So I think there's definitely a progression in the production style. Musically, I'd say, like as a whole, the songs probably work together as a body a bit better because that was how they were all recorded, whereas coping mechanisms were all recorded individually.
Mm.
So it's probably more cohesive, I'd say. But yeah, it's kind of, as well. There's no brass. There's less like jazz influence in it. But I think it's definitely a progression. I think it goes harder. I'd say.
Goes harder.
Yeah, as people say, that's what people say. I think.
Yeah, that's what the kids are saying, right?
That is what they say. Yeah.
I gotta ask how you record the drums because I see you got it right in the corner there. That's got to be hard. I've never recorded live drums.
Well, the drums changed up a lot throughout the whole process. Like, before at the beginning, because all the songs went through a lot of different versions to get. It was the whole thing was very much like um a learning process, very very much. So this sort of project, the drums all started off live, and some of them were played by me, some of them were played by Ben, the drummer in the band. Um, but then we, a little bit further down the line, decided it just felt too live. So I went through all the tracks and just did all the drums individually. Uh, Took like single transients of like a snare hit or a kick, and then basically just programmed the drums in so that it's kind of more of a beat. So it's kind of like a mix between live. Some of them have live sections, some of them have beat stuff. Some of them have beat with live played over the top. Um so yeah, it's quite a lot of different processes with the drums. But that was yeah. I don't know if you've done drums like one by one.
Not like that. I would think that'd be really hard.
Takes a long time for sure. But
Very tedious.
yeah. It gives a cool effect though, like it gives a nice sort of organic but still kind of hip hop is quite a big influence for me. Um and I think being able to make like a more kind of beat uh but still keep that organic feel or like sound, I think it's a good way to do it. Kind of works for me doing it like that.
Something I noticed about your music and about the music that I love to listen to and to write is you seem to understand that rhythm can be just as much of a hook as the melody itself.
Yeah, man.
Your song 15:8, when I didn't know what the song was, like what the name of it was, I was just listening to it. I was like, oh, this is a sick song. I wonder what it's called. I wonder what the beat is. And I looked at it, I was like, oh, 15:8. Yeah, like it makes sense. Like it's such a key part of that song that it makes sense to call it that.
Yeah. Oh, well, thank you very much, by the way, for like for picking up on that. That's really kind. Yeah, I think it is really important, like, for the rhythm and melody to kind of be, uh, again, not overpowering each other. Like, very much with coping mechanisms, kind of the writing, I guess, style or like philosophy or whatever behind that was each each individual part is like as important as each other. So like the bass part needs to be super catchy. All the drums, all the drum beats should be like you should be able to like differentiate each one from each other. Um, and I feel like if you have a super solid rhythm foundation, I feel like all the rest is kind of like details. I
Mm-hmm.
feel I feel like it is, yeah, very very important in songwriting. I think. Um, Sorry, man, I've forgotten the question.
I mean, it wasn't even a question. I was just noticing the fact that you do incorporate different rhythms and styles into the song just to add an extra little hook to it, you know? Like,
Yeah,
I don't think a lot of people necessarily think about rhythm in that way, but it very much should be just as much of a hook as the melody and the chords.
yeah, yeah. I agree. I think that might be like hip hop influence again,
Mm-hmm.
kind of. But yeah, as well, like with coping mechanisms, another thing that still is very very important to me stylistically is having each song like being really individual from the rest of the songs. But I think with that album, it was like down. It had to come down to a single theme. Like 15:8 was the time signature, which kind of set it apart from the others. It could be something really simple like the track bassy song, just simply like the lead instrument being the bass guitar. Um, just simply that. Could be like a vocal motif. Is a motif the word? Like
It sounds good to me.
like a recurring theme, like the lyrics in the song "Things You Taught Me." Um, yeah, just each song having like a single theme or hook or whatever that you could kind of separate it from the rest of the songs. I think a huge influence for me is the album In Rainbows by Radiohead.
Dude, I was literally just about to ask you about the Thom Yorke poster in your Funkin' High music video. I was like, dude, I have
Oh
to ask him
man, you
about
noticed
Radiohead.
that.
Oh, it was the first thing I noticed, of course.
Oh
Actually, hold
man.
on. Since you mentioned it, this one's up here.
Hey, there it is.
It's my
That's
favorite
beautiful.
Radiohead album ever, for sure.
Man, I think it's my favorite album ever. Like
It's
just in
incredible.
general. It's crazy.
So,
I feel like
obviously a big Radiohead fan here.
oh, huge man. I feel like yeah, going as soon as like start talking about In Rainbows, you're going down a rabbit hole because I could just talk
Without a
In
doubt.
Rainbows all day. Um,
If you had to pick 3 songs in there that are your favorites, because you can't pick one, that's too hard. If you had to pick three,
three. Uh, All I Need
mm,
for sure. Just like the ending of that song is just nuts. Um,
that one grew on me over time.
yeah, yeah. I feel like it's not like a particularly standout track from the others,
Not
but
at first, at least, I think.
yeah, yeah. I think you're right. Body Snatchers,
Hmm.
I think.
That was my first favorite.
Yeah.
Now it's kind of moved around.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Body Snatchers like blew me away the first time I heard it, and I still love it. But
Mm.
now All I Need is up there. Um,
What would you
maybe.
What would your three be?
Well, you still got one more,
Oh yeah,
but
I've still got one more. I'm just sort of thinking about it at the moment.
yeah,
What are
I'll
your
give you
three?
my three, and you can tell me your last one. I would say probably All I Need. It's kind of hard not to say Weird Fishes.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
It's like, how am I not gonna say that one? But I also love Jigsaw Falling into Place.
Yeah, man. I just got the track list up.
Hmm.
Nude as well.
Yeah.
Oh,
Videotape always makes me cry, especially if I listen to the album from front to back. But yeah, I guess I would say All I Need, Jigsaw Falling into Place, and Weird Fishes. I love Body Snatchers, but I think I'd have to pick the other three.
mm. That's a good. I mean, any combination is a good choice. I'd say, I'd say actually, nude, all I need, and body snatchers. I think
Good three.
it's just an album that I like literally couldn't fault.
Hmm.
There's just nothing that I think it could that could improve it, or nothing that shouldn't be there. I think that's like a sign of a really really good album. Wait, there's just nothing is out of place at all. Production wise, it's just so good. And I think it's very timeless as well.
I
Like it
agree.
could be released now and um still be like really really it would still blow people away and sound relevant.
It's gonna be weird to think in 20 years what of their records hold up the most. Like I think
Yeah,
it really could be In Rainbows, because I love In
I think so.
Rainbows probably more than any of them. But my second one might be Kid A, and I think that one will also still be very relevant in like 20, 30 years.
I think you're right because I think yeah, just like the messages behind the songs, they're kind of timeless messages as well, like politically and environmentally and stuff, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
You know, the kinds of issues that he talks about, I think are just kind of issues that are always sadly going to be there.
Yeah, very
um,
true.
but yeah, the thing about In Rainbows that influenced coping mechanisms a lot is on In Rainbows, every single song has its own thing.
Yeah,
Um,
its own theme
like
for sure.
like Weird Fishes is like the theme is like that kind of triadic guitar part, I guess, and like layers building up. Oh, I forgot about House of Cards. That's really good. Reckoner is like the drums, like the ride cymbal. That's the theme there. Um,
Videotape. It's that weird rhythm that's going on, like that ghost rhythm.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Like each song has its own kind of unique focus,
Hmm.
which which I think again makes it such a great album. And I think that's kind of what I aim for in my music, to make sure each song is kind of different to the others.
It's a great thing to think about while you're writing. And we could sit here and talk about Radiohead all day, but
Yeah.
I got
Literally.
one more thing to ask you before we move on to the last five, which is I'll just ask you five questions. But
Oh,
obviously, I
sure.
have to bring up the fact that you also have a music podcast and you also just recently started it. Like,
Yeah,
what are the
man.
odds we're on the same
I
wavelength
know, yeah,
across the
literally
world?
like when you messaged me, it was like literally a couple of weeks after starting mine. When did you start on the on that note?
My first one came out August 4th. So
Nice.
I've only been doing it for about a month and a half, which is
Yeah, yeah.
so funny that this just started and so did you.
Yeah. Are you enjoying it?
I am. How have you liked it?
Oh, I've loved it, man. Like just learning different people's perspectives on writing and different approaches is a really good thing to do, I think.
Yeah, I really
Because I'm
got a lot of cool stuff out of the Sam Duckworth interview. I just listened to that right before.
Oh, nice, man. Thank you. Yeah, he's a really lovely guy. A lot of words of wisdom there. Um,
What's been the biggest thing you've learned after starting this?
that's a good question. I think I spoke with the rapper Eugen Blackrock and asked her what like the single most important thing for her in her music was, and she said it was love, just like love in general. Uh, like she always wants to act out of love for other people. It's always about like interacting with an audience, and like them turning up is like a show of love for her, and she's like trying to reciprocate that to the audience. And yeah, so she's like she also wants that to come across in her writing, and it just kind of really made me kind of rethink my own motives for writing, because I think um uh it kind of made me feel like I write very much for myself, which I don't think is a bad thing. Like um it's just a different perspective. Like I write for myself in that it's just kind of what I love to do most, and I feel like I'm just trying to make something that is as accurate, like a reflection of the kind of person that I am as possible. So it kind of made me think like, um, maybe I should be thinking more um, about other people when writing. And yeah, I don't know. I thought it was just a really, I just hadn't heard anyone say that before about the most important thing in their music. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think you know I totally agree with what she's saying, and I do think that there isn't anything wrong with writing for yourself because in reality that's can be a very selfless act, telling the truth about your existence in this moment, because if you're being honest, there are a bunch of other people out there that are going through or have gone through a similar thing and can see or listen to your music and suddenly identify with it. And to rob them of that, of your honesty, would be a disservice to your music and to their listening experience.
Yeah, man, I know what you mean. Like, I think, yeah, that's very true. Like, um, I guess it's just different different perspectives are just interesting to hear about, really, aren't they?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I think that's been the best thing just about this, about having a podcast, hearing different people's approaches and things. How about you?
Oh, dude. Well, I feel like I'm cheating the system with this podcast because I can talk to anybody about music for hours, let alone the people who are making music that I love. So when I reached out to you, I was like, dude, this guy has no idea. Like, I'm just some lame kid from Los Angeles, like, who's a fan, and I just want to talk to you. And
Oh,
that's
no,
like what
man.
I'd like to do. I love to talk to people about music, and
Mm.
especially to the people who make music that I love, because all these questions pop into my head when I'm listening to it. And the fact that I can ask you about things about Funkenheim, I can ask you about the Thom Yorke poster on the side. Like, that's cool. So I feel like I stumbled into this and I'm not going to stop.
Oh man, well, it's really really cool. Like big respect to you for starting it up and everything. You're a very good interviewer.
Well,
Um,
thanks for coming on, man. Seriously, I appreciate it.
no, not at all, man. I realized though I didn't actually answer your question about the poster on the wall. Did I?
Uh, I don't even know what the question was. I just was excited that it was there.
Oh yeah, well I feel like I didn't explain why it's there. Basically, like years and years and years ago, I went to like this I can't remember who was putting it on, but there was like this climate march in London that I went to with my friend, and on one side we had like just some like generic kind of caption like "There is no planet B" or something, and then on the other side we had just a picture of Thom Yorke saying "Thom Yorke for PM," and like the amount of people that like wanted photos with it was crazy. Like people, I think people would get behind that.
Come
But
on, Tom, help us out.
yeah, it and there's a I don't know if it's still going. There's a Facebook page called like Thomasexuals or because it's obviously like THOM.
Right.
It made it on there, which was a little claim to fame. So it's yeah, that's basically the story behind that why it's there really.
And now he watches over you while you record music.
Exactly.
Awesome, man. Well, let's move on to the last five, and then I'll get you out of here.
Oh, cool, man. Well, I can
I know.
sit
I
around for
mean,
as long as you
literally, I
want,
could
man.
sit here and talk with you forever, but I try to keep the episodes at like 30 minutes, 40 minutes.
Oh, sure. Sorry,
You
man.
know?
I feel like I've been
No, you're all
rambling in
good because
advance,
I
so.
just edit it later anyway. So I'm like, I'm going to
Cool.
talk about everything I want to talk about with him, and then I'll go.
Oh, sure, man. Sure.
All right, man. So the first question is Logic or Ableton?
Logic. Although I say that, well, I only say that because I use Logic, but it does kind of do some really annoying things sometimes. It just kind of freaks out in weird ways. And Ableton, sorry if this is meant to be like a quick fire answer.
No, they don't have to be that quick.
Ableton we learned we did everything on Ableton for my A levels, which is like the last two grades in your system. Um and Ableton was really cool. I really liked it. Um just like the workflow on it was really
Mhm.
nice.
It's really
So
quick if you know what you're doing.
yeah. Yeah, I have been wondering like whether to get into Ableton again. Feel like it would probably be good, but I don't know. I'm just gonna say Logic because I use it.
I use Logic too, but there's a lot I do appreciate about Ableton that I wish I was better at.
Mm. Yeah, definitely.
All right, second question. In the studio or playing live?
In the studio, I think.
Why?
I think. Well, it's those like it's those really like magic moments when everything's just kind of working. Both sides have them. Like when you're playing live in a band and everyone gets on the same level. It could be for like a few seconds or like a couple of bars, but for that like one moment where everything is just working perfectly together, that is like one of the best feelings you'll get. But also in the studio, the equivalent is like when an idea for a song like really hits, and you're just kind of really it's just an amazing feeling, like when an idea comes and then you can build on it and build on it and build a song that you're really happy with. That's like the same kind of feeling, and I think I prefer that because it's more like, I don't know, it's more of a kind of um it's more of a rush, I think. So I'd say a studio.
That's funny because most people I think would say live is the rush. To me, studio is
Mm.
the slow burn. There's
Mm.
like that slow burn of you're starting to create something and then eventually it hits you. You're like, whoa, like this is mine, or at least
Mm.
my muse came up with this. Like that's such a weird feeling to love your own song for the first time as if it's someone else's.
Yeah, yeah, it's a very satisfying thing, and it's kind of, yeah, it is like magic. Like it's it's just like when you really think about it, like how crazy music actually is. Just like they're literally just sounds all just working together. It's just like mind blowing.
Hmm.
Just in like the concept of it. Um, yeah, when things really come together in a song when you're like writing them, it's just a really, really, really nice feeling. So
For real.
that's kind of what keeps me going, I think.
So, what's your favorite instrument to play?
Bass guitar.
Oof. I had a feeling you were gonna say that because all of your songs are so funky.
Oh, thank you, man. Cheers. Um,
That's such a great instrument, very underrated.
yeah. How about you?
Probably, probably bass. I would say drums if I was playing a full drum set, but I can't do that in my apartment. So all the drums
Right.
I've pretty much ever done on any song are drum machine. So
Okay.
bass is kind of, for me, bass is when a song becomes a lot more real because it's got that groove, that foundation
Mm.
to it now. So I know once I record the bass, like I better have that feeling. It's more of an
Yeah, yeah.
indication for me if I'm going to keep moving on, if that bass feels good.
Mm. Yeah, I
What
get you,
about
man.
you? So you love bass. I want to make this about me. You're
No, man, it's always um it's always nice to have it two ways. Yeah, bass is just like the most like you say, it's so underrated. Like people always think it looks really boring and like that it's easy,
yeah, you
and
control the song pretty much.
yeah, you're like the most essential part of the song. It's just because you've got your whole space, you've got your whole frequency range that without it, it's just like such an empty song.
Yeah,
And I think that just makes it so satisfying. Like you're just completely filling a space that needs bass.
right.
Yeah, just super satisfying and fun and funky. Who doesn't love funk, really? I mean,
Who doesn't
you
love
know,
funk?
exactly.
So what's on your musical rotation right now?
Ooh, I actually, to be honest, I actually don't really listen to that much music, actually.
Hmm.
Um, I tend to like find an artist and then just like rinse them dry, rinse their whole catalog dry, and like listen to nothing else, and then move on to the next person.
Who's the
Um,
latest for you?
uh, latest is a sort of semi-local. She's from London. She's called Marie Naffa.
Marie
But I just heard,
Naffa?
yeah, it's spelled like MarienNaffah. Uh, I played a gig with her once, and she's just an amazing singer and person. And yeah, her song "The Cage," I heard for the first time, and like just really, really hooked me, and just had it on repeat for like a week, literally. Um, but I mean, other than that, I like JPEG Mafia a lot.
Yeah,
He's
that guy's
yeah,
crazy.
yeah, for sure. I think that is the word to sum him up.
One of the coolest beat makers, I think, right now, no
Oh
doubt.
yeah, yeah, definitely. Like I love the bits where he kind of um drops out of the beat and then comes back into it, but in a little bit before. I can't remember what song it is. The lyric is like, "I promise I'll never go blonde like Kanye," and he
Hmm.
like halfway through the line, it stops, and then he's like, "Wait," and then goes back a bit, but so he's like repeating the beat it from a different place. I'm explaining this so badly, but it doesn't feel out of time.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
I do. He's got this series that he was putting out right before he put out his last album, All My Heroes Are Cornballs. I don't know if you watched it, but he would talk to all these other artists and show them the
Yeah,
songs. And he talked to Jeff Tweedy from Wilco. For me, was
yeah,
like, holy shit, what a duo.
yeah. It's mad.
And Tweedy said he loved how the volume would come in and out of random like
Mm,
instruments or of his vocals. I didn't even notice until I listened to it, and it's like his vocals would be in the back for like half a second and then pop up at you like out of
yeah,
nowhere, and that's really dynamic. I don't see that in a lot of other music.
yeah. It's like there are so many textures and so many It's like it's just so detailed. His attention to detail is crazy,
Mm-hmm.
mind blowing. Um, yeah, he's a really really cool guy. I think the opening track on that album, what's it called again? Something about thoughts.
Yeah. Jesus forgive me for I am a thought.
That's it. Yeah, yeah.
Great song.
Yeah, that is probably one of my favorite songs ever. I think just how it like,
The chord progression is beautiful.
yeah, how it comes in though is just It's like it kind of unravels.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, yeah, you don't even realize when it hits you. You're just kind of in one section and then you're in another, but you don't even really notice the change, even
Right.
though they're such different sections. Yeah, I think he just does really, he just surprises you.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's when an artist does that, that's like a really good. It's really good when you find an artist that can keep doing that, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
Damn, you're making me want to go listen to it right now.
but yeah, Marine Alpha, JPEG Mafia, Nick Hakim,
My
who's
other friend said Nick Hakim, who came on the show.
yeah, he's just fucking amazing. Oh, sorry if
No,
I
you're
com-
good. I think
uh
three is a pretty solid answer right there.
yeah, yeah, I'd say those three are pretty much.
All right, let's
I'm
get you
talking
with
heads.
the last question. You're good. Here's the last question, and then we'll get you out of here.
Cool, man.
Who is your dream artist or producer to work with?
Nigel Godrich,
Yes, yes, 100 times yes.
definitely.
Why? I mean, obviously because of Radiohead, but is there anything specific about Nigel Godrich you really like?
Basically what we were talking about before, like, how nothing is out of place. I think that production wise, the two things that are most important to me are having a sort of timeless style. So like I think he's got a very natural style. Um, like stylistically, it's not pinpointed to any kind of trend or overly stylistic. It's like often the guitar sounds are very dry, drum sounds are very dry. Like they're all very natural sounds that and styles that he goes for, which I think is really really nice. That's something that I try and do a lot. Um, and yeah, the second thing is everything having a place and nothing being out of place, and he just really knows. He just knows that, you know. So yeah.
I never thought
He's
about
probably
that.
pretty expensive though.
I would think probably a little expensive,
Yeah, probably.
but you're right. He does a great job at finding the perfect space for everything. Like In Rainbows is such a minimal album, especially compared to like OK Computer
Mm,
uh and and like Hail to the Thief. But everything has its place. Every shaker is like so perfect, you know.
mm.
There's something to be said for that. It does kind of remind me um of what's the name of your album? Coping Mechanisms. It reminds me of Coping Mechanisms in regards to space.
Oh, thank you, man. Yeah. That's sort of definitely like each thing having an actual reason to be there, rather than just being there for the sake of it.
Awesome. Well, I think that's going to end our time here. Sam Eagle, thank you for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. Everybody needs to go check out your song Funkenheim and your new song music video for Like This.
That's it. Yeah.
And also your podcast, Samcast.
Yeah, man. Thank you very much. But yeah, thank you so much, Parker. It's been really nice to meet you, man.
Yeah, nice to meet you. I'm glad we can do this from literally across the world. It's amazing.
It's incredible. Yeah, definitely.
Awesome.
Good
well,
times, yeah.
I could talk about Radiohead with you all day, but I'll let you get some rest.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, you too. Well,
awesome.
It's morning, isn't it? But yeah, man.
Yeah.
No, it's been fun. Thank
all right,
you very
dude.
much.
Of course. Yeah, I'll talk to you later.
Yeah.
See you, bro.
Bye, man.